I've lived in the UK for almost 5 years now, and when I think about it, sometimes I'm just shocked because what do you mean I have been in this country for almost 5 years? But the funny thing is that in the almost 5 years of my stay in this country, I did not feel completely settled. And I know that a lot of people do not understand when I say that because then you look at my life, you would see that I have actually come very far. Before
But
I
hold
get into all that, hi, my name is Rilla. If you're seeing me for the first time, welcome to my channel. And those that have seen me before, hi again. I know I haven't posted since January, but it's been a minute. So I was actually thinking about my journey to the UK. And to be fair, like most people, when they're coming to a new country, say they want to come for master or just relocating in general, they always have set rules or set plans lined up for them. I think for me particularly, my case was very, very different. I did not have any plans. So when I first came to the UK, I did not really have any plans like I said earlier on. I came to do my masters and I was just basically going with the flow. To be fair, coming to the UK was quite spontaneous for me. Like I remember back in the day, my mom talked about, me like going to school for doing my education, and at the time my dad was alive, so she just mentioned, you need to utilize this time, your dad's going to sponsor you, da da da. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I, you know tried to apply for schools and I got China, but unfortunately I was rejected. So fast forward a year after, at this time I'd lost my dad, and I think my friend at the time, we're just having a conversation and she was like, oh, you can come to the UK, da, 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 we could live together, all the good stuff. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And she went through the process of getting me the school that I was going to go to, connecting me with the agent. And I think months after, I found myself in the UK. Now, prior to this, I felt it was something that was already spoken over my life because a lot of people already said, oh, you're going to be outside the country, yada, 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 all those good stuff. It was more like, this one that I'm coming here, God, now your hands ideal. Like, there was really no elaborate 5-year goal. It was just go to school. I didn't know the rules in place. I did not know, like, I didn't know that if you're coming to the UK, if you're coming through school, you would have to, after school, you do your post-study, and after that, you get a job that would sponsor you. I did not know all those things. Like, I know that a lot of people do that in research, but I don't I don't know why I did not do it. But yeah, so I did not really think about like the next 5 years of my life, like what it would look like, or 4 years of my life, or what it would look like. I didn't really think about it. But when they talk about the reality shock of coming abroad, it really dawned on me after a while. I think after I finished my masters, it really dawned on me that what do I really want to do? Like what's next basically. I studied digital marketing. So normally you would think that okay, I would go to that towards that line, right? But that was not the case. So I then learned about the 5 year to ILR route. And then when I learned about it, I was like, oh my goodness, like, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm going to have to stay 5 years before I'm even on my way to ILR, like work on whatever. So I was like, oh my goodness. And then I had to obviously get someone to sponsor me after my masters. But then I said, okay, fine, I'm going to go through the post study because I didn't want to do care at the time. And I know for people that came 2021, like that time it was more easier for you to like go into care, switch to care, like do stuff like that. But obviously now things have changed, and I had to get a sponsor after my post study. So that was like a reality shocker for me. It was like, what is this? You know? I think that it just made me realize, like, when people come abroad, people think, like, I think a lot of people think that it's very, once you're out of Nigeria, it's very rosy for you. But I don't think that's the case. I feel like it's just a different struggle in a different geographical location. The goalpost now has moved from me coming to the UK to study it now moved into me trying to get sponsored and me staying back legally. So with all that being said, remember I told you guys that I've been in this country for almost 5 years now, and I do not feel settled. And a lot of people might say why, but for the obvious reasons of now things have just changed. It's now the thought of you're on sponsorship now, you need to stay legally, you need to do everything right to get to where you're going to. There are so many things that you're worried about. You're worried about immigration laws, you're worried about, daily living, your finances. For me, like at some point I had to block people, like people that I know that were my friends. I had to block them just for my sanity. And it's not coming from a place of hate or anything. It's just coming from a place of I cannot be saying this kind of thing. They're just to be pressuring me. So it's I already knew that coming to the UK did not necessarily mean that I have succeeded in life. There was still so much work to do, if that makes sense. It was yes, I've gone through the whole process of going through school. I've gone through the trenches of trying to get sponsored. I was disappointed. Almost, I don't even want to even go into how it felt when I literally had to try to get sponsored. I literally saw hell. It was the worst time of my life, and thank God for people that understood. Thank God for family that stood in the gap in prayer. It was a lot. And for anybody that's experienced, not having sponsorship and your visa is expiring, you know that it is a very big mental strain. You're mentally drained. In fact, sometimes physically as well, because you're up trying to apply for companies that are going to sponsor you for over 100 companies, 200 companies in a day, and it was so draining. And then getting to that point and hoping that someone will sponsor you, and then you get disappointed literally months to your visa expiring, was the worst. I used to hear people say, oh, they expected their employer to sponsor them, and it did not happen. And I was like, it will never happen to me. But girl, boy, was I wrong. It happened to me. I was so devastated. I went back to God in prayer. I was in fact, even with the whole scenario, the whole thing that had happened, I just felt I don't think I even want to even be in this place because of how I had poured myself to working for somebody. I know it's no one owes you anything, but I'd really poured myself into it, and it was just a mess. And then after that, thankfully, I got a sponsorship. And then the reality of getting a sponsorship dawned on me. Guys, when I tell you that it's good to have sponsorship, but after sponsorship, it's your eyes will clear and you'll be like, what is this? I don't even know how to express the reality shock. It was having to move from the place that I loved, the city that I loved, my friends, people that I've now called family, to a place that I do not know nobody. That was the worst thing. It was so painful, it was so hard. And not only that, I had to I got a good role, right? And then I had to learn how to work in that role. This, I don't know if anybody has experienced imposter syndrome, but it did happen to me at work, where I felt I don't deserve to be here. But why would I look back and I'm why did I think I did not deserve to be in a place that God had placed me in, free of charge? I didn't have to do anything special. God just put me in that place at the nick of time. Do you get what I mean? But then I was struggling with myself. I was struggling with moving to a new city, moving away from my friends, moving away from the church that I loved, moving away from what I was used to a place that I did not know anybody, and having to navigate all that, and then still having to navigate work dynamics, work politics, working with different people. It was just very, very it was just so hard for me at the time. Was I thankful? Yes, because I know that a lot of people were looking for what I have. I was thankful, but at the same time, I did not feel settled. And I had this logic, right? I had this logic that when I get sponsorship, hey, my life will change. Girl, don't play. I had this logic that my life will change. I had this idea in my head that I'm gonna have time to travel, I'm gonna have more money. I don't know, when I used to see people that were on sponsorship, I see the clothes they are wearing, I was like, their own is good though. It's kiniko. I used to think that it's rosy on the other side. The grass is not always greener on the other side. People don't know that. It's true. Let me tell you. When I got sponsored, I already said that I had to move cities. So imagine a dynamics where you are living with your friend before, and then you're having to move to a different city and you have to live on your own. Now, I know a lot of people will be like, why didn't you go and do shared apartments? Why didn't you go get a smaller place? But with my own reality, that was not possible. I just had to I don't have a car, so I had to get a place that is closer to work. I had to get a place in the town center, because going inside the town, inside, the city, would cost me more, and I will not even get to work on time. I will be stressed to get up in the morning, because I do 9 to 5, yeah? Aside from that, living alone was just a different thing for me, because I now had to navigate living alone, paying bills by myself. Paying bills by myself. There was nothing like splitting. Hey, Jesus. Girl, it was a lot. And I just had to navigate all that. There were days I would just cry. I would just be like, my life looks so good on paper, but why do I feel so empty? Like, when I tell people this is my job role, this is my this, I have this and that, And don't get me wrong, I know I am living in answered prayers, and maybe it's just the sheer desire of man to want more, even when they have when they are living in the answered prayers. But like, in that state where I was not happy. I wasn't happy at all. I was like, I don't like this. But I think it's also because I was not ready for that. Like, I was ready, but I did not know that the shift was going to come in the way that it came, right? It was very quick. Everything was happening at the same time very quickly, and I just couldn't catch up. The pressure I feel like generally in life now comes from everywhere. Pressure to when you move abroad, there's so much pressure, and a lot of times people don't realize it, but it's very subtle for some people. For me, obviously, when you're on a sponsored visa, you cannot do a lot of things. From the legal point of view, or from the legal perspective, there's only so much you can do, and you now think about the number of years that you can't do all those things, and time is going. You're thinking about, okay, I need to start a family. For people that are like plus 30 girlies, say yay. But it's not for everybody anyway. But like, for people that like plus 30, you have to start a family, you have to make more money, the bills are coming in, the money is not enough. Like, when you're like, it's really not enough, you're barely surviving. And the pressure just starts creeping in gradually. You see other people where they are, like people that you know where they are, and you're like, God, like, you hear people making some type of amount in a month, and you're like, what is, like, there's just pressure is everywhere. You see people that have had their ILR, and you're like, God, when? And you look at your own, you're like, I never even start. You have not even started counting for me. There's just so many things. I feel like the pressure comes from every sphere, like for family, work. At work, it's just like you need to do better, you need to scale up fast, because people are not waiting for you. No one is going to give you handouts, no one is coming to save you. So it's like you just have to do everything when you can. And then there's this side where you want to enjoy life, like you want to live on your own terms, you want to be like, you want to travel, and it's like, where is the time to do that? Where is the time? Where is the money to do all that. So it's like so many things. I've talked about, wanting to settle down, wanting to start a family for those that want that. For me, I want that for myself. So that's also like on the radar. When is this gonna happen? When is that gonna happen? Financial security, scaling up in your role, wanting to maybe start a business, things like that. And also just wanting to be comfortable. I think that is where all this pressure comes back. And then back home, you realize that your family, everybody's getting old. Oh my goodness. I don't even know. Like nowadays, yeah, I envy people that have their parents. Like when I mean have their parents, like they live with their parents, right? I envy people like with the holy envy. I envy people like that because it's like they have what a lot of us wish that we can have. Because when you are outside the country, for most people, before you can go back home, it will take 2-3 years, 4-5 years. Like I'm not saying 2-3, sometimes 5 years you have not gone home, sometimes 6 years you have not gone home, right? Because of so many factors, and financial reasons just being one of those factors, right? So it's like back home, people are going old. Like your family, your parents, they are getting old. There's one sickness or the other, and it's just how I quickly realized how fickle life is. I don't know why I'm able saying all this, but I realized how fickle life is, and how as humans we are not in control. Like we always think that we are in control, but truly we are not in control of anything. Literally, like the least we can do is just make plans. But at the end of the day, life happens, right? You can make all the plans in the world, and life still happens to you, and you just have to deal with whatever life has dished you, right? But I'm digressing. And back to the family situation, the family pressure. Back home, your parents are getting old. You're trying to see how you can make life more comfortable for them, and it's just a lot. To be fair, I just think that the pressure to do better when you come abroad is from everywhere. Everybody thinks we have made it. Once you have japa, they think that you have made it. But in all honesty, I don't think that's the case. But I might be wrong, but this is just my own, experience and my own 2 cents on that. So I feel like, the journey so far has been a roller coaster. I would say it's been a roller coaster because there's been so many highs and there's been so many lows. And like I said, everything is changing as the day goes by. Everything is changing. Immigration laws are changing. You're seeing your friends getting married. You're seeing your friends that you were so close to, like, moving cities. Like, so many things are changing. From when I came to now, there has been so much growth, I would say. So much, exposure. And I just believe that there is so much more. But then again, at this point in my life, I'm just at the place where I'm more thankful, because recently, like this weekend, I was just in the place of gratitude because I have come so far, and there's still so much to be done, but I have come so far, and it was not easy. It was not the easiest of things. Even like daily, like it's not easy. Standing up from the bed is a lot. Is a lot for those that work 9 to 5 and actually enjoy working 9 to 5. No shade to 9 to 5 workers, but like for those that enjoy it, kudos to you. But for those that struggle with working 9 to 5, it is a lot. So like every day we just take it as it comes. But in all, I feel like where I am right now, I'm very thankful. I'm very grateful to God, because it can only be God, and it would only be God, and the glory only belongs to God. I think everybody has a very different definition of what success is and what success feels like. For me, particularly, success is freedom. And I say this because I am an immigrant in the UK and I don't feel settled. And this is because of the obvious reasons, right? But for me to feel successful, I'm not saying I am not, but for me to fully feel successful, I want to have that freedom, and that is my definition of success. Freedom to do whatever you want to do when it comes to like life, and doing whatever you want to do in terms of like you not having to worry about anything, like financially, not having to think about, oh my god, how am I going to live this month? Hey God, how am I going to survive this month with what I'm earning, that I don't have to like, it's not going to be a stretch for me. And in a nutshell, I feel like freedom is my definition of success. So yeah, I guess I'm back on YouTube. I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to stay safe and make good choices. Bye. This distance is taking a hold of me for sure. Baby, come.